Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. As usual, we're focused on anything and everything focused on Tesla, but primarily things that are moving the stock price, which we had to add to today after discussing news on the cybertruck. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, would like more ideas on better investing and trading, please join us on Patreon as well. So today, I wanted to do another show rapidly in anticipation of our open on Monday. There were a few of our viewers that were saying they doubted that just the Cybertruck impacted this boost in stock price of 5.5%. And it turns out, to some extent, they were right. It's a combo deal that's affecting the stock price currently. So the first part of that combination that we wanted to cover is the impact of what seems like the first 75,000 run of vehicles coming from the factory in Shanghai. As you know, Elon has started shipping not only to Europe and to Asia, but from Shanghai, we're now starting to ship cars to Canada. So I thought it was good that they were expanding destinations for vehicles, especially if there are extra cars not sold in China. The other component of this I thought was interesting is that there's a question mark of the difference between produced and sold. So, basically 75K a month times 12 months puts us at 1 million units a year coming out of China. And that easily allows the other factories, Germany, Austin, and Fremont, to at least push 1 million, maybe, 1.3 million vehicles for the year, which exceeds the expected numbers that Elon had targeted. So I wanted to kind of review this today, obviously, because this gives us sort of more data to validate the stock price rising. I'm hopeful that we don't have a lot of cars stacked up there that are unsold, hopefully. So that's part of the discussion that's likely to go on in the next few days as analysts try to figure out if increased production actually meets increased sales. Now, I have to say that I'm cautiously optimistic about this. And the reason is that Canada and Australia are two of the locations where, as you know, Tesla's selling out of vehicles, or they're selling at a premium there because there are delays in getting a vehicle because there's so much demand. So if those vehicles are being produced and shipped in this fashion, and we're able to identify pockets of increased demand with lack of supply, I just think that's a terrific turn of events. And we look forward to more data from this to validate the increasing stock price that we're getting from Tesla currently. The second component that seems to be influencing that we have not covered is the fact that, as you know, Elon chose to do 6 price reductions since January. Now, over the past week and a half, we're starting to see price increases, though modest. Now, what does this mean? Well, it's my belief, based on how the numbers are working out, that by reducing prices, Tesla has not been gaining market share, but instead simply cutting the amount of money it makes per car. As we covered in our previous show about this, the challenge that's occurring right now is the EV market is in its infancy to some extent. And there are large players who will have to be in that market in the future who are able to leverage ICE profits on other vehicles to simply meet Tesla's price cuts and not have to give up any market share in the process. So Elon's a bright guy, and I think that the data that's come through from this has convinced him that, hey, why reduce prices when we're not getting much bang anymore for our buck in terms of increased profited revenue, and therefore a higher price makes sense. This is particularly the case for the higher price vehicles where those consumers tend not to be as price sensitive. So I have to say this is another case where we've been a little bit surprised by Tesla's developments, because to some extent from major news from the company, we're sort of getting into a lull period when they're not, there isn't a lot of news to report that might be influential to the stock, other than perhaps seeing more and more about Cybertruck as it is about to hit the road. So again, main focus here, 75K for the month, heading towards a 1 million unit run for Shanghai with the price increase. That also signals to investors that Tesla's getting those higher prices, and the declining profit margins that we're seeing aren't going to stay. So increased profit and revenue definitely influences stock price, and I believe that that's what's occurring currently. The big question mark, though, is it sustainable? We're going to find out, and obviously what we find out from this is going to be influential on where the stock goes from here. So in general, hey, higher stock price, higher revenue, higher profit, all good news. Glad to hear it, glad to report it. The next sort of what's going on, and what'll be in our next show is our weekly roundup on what's going on with the semi, and we look forward to sort of updating on new information that we've picked up in that space. At any rate, we tend to do show after show fairly tightly wound to a topic, which we've done here. I appreciate your taking time out to join us today for this session, and I hope you found tidbits of information that can help in your better investing in Tesla. Now, I believe we're in a really interesting zone right now that I'll start rolling out and covering as we go forward. That zone is the fact that if you think about it, with the drop in bonds as rates keep rising, you're wiping out a lot of banks. You're also reducing the amount of business activity based on those higher rates. So the Fed is definitely influencing the direction of things. What's mind-blowing is how you can actually have safety-oriented consumers that are rolling a certain way, and all of a sudden that path is not as safe as it previously was thought to be. Now, Warren Buffett had his nice session. Geico is one of his largest holdings, and it turns out between damage from hurricanes, increased losses when it comes to lawsuits, and reduction in earnings on things like bonds, you have a combo where the insurance companies are under some duress, and I think this is another sector that will experience some difficulty based on these three issues going forward, and might be something to add to the list of things to think about going forward. So finally, as usual, we tend to cover our health tips. Just to review, you owe us 20 minutes of walking today, 25 leg lifts. Don't go to bed within 4 hours of eating, ideally minimum 2 hours. And we also want to encourage you to try to maintain a sleep schedule that's consistent on a daily basis for a few weeks, just to see how your body feels, having that circadian rhythm be consistent. So we have other tips that are below in our notes that we invite you to join us on. At any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Let's see some more stock movement in the next few days based on good numbers coming out of China and where the Cybertruck is currently, hopefully. This is end of our show today. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, Lehithro, Hebrew, Hoda, Hafez, Farsi starai, which are Russian ni hao ma, Japanese konbanwa, Japanese, Chinese heido, Swedish, arrivederci, Italian. And in Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.